Every so often, something so amazing comes into your life that it completely changes everything. For me, that was the Ninja Creami. Which is why in today's video, I'm gonna show you two of my favorite high protein ice cream recipes using this amazing tool. Plus, I'll show you how to create and prepare the recipes because there is a bit of a learning curve using it for the first time. And if you're on the fence about buying one, watch this review because you're gonna get a better idea if it's for you or not. Here we go. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna need to know is that unfortunately, you're not going to be eating ice cream on the first night that you have this thing. It was the most unfortunate news to me. I didn't really know what I was getting into, but the ice cream that you make needs to be completely frozen before you use the creamy to make the ice cream, to make it creamy. I'm by no means an ice cream expert here, but the main thing is that you need like a completely frozen initial product against this really like strong steel blade that's going to spin it quite quickly, and that's what blends it up. It makes it quite frozen. So it's gonna be different than using like a blender or a food processor to make some sort of frozen treat where you like add ice cubes in or something like that. That entire thing needs to be blended and completely frozen first. I'm gonna show you how to do that. Okay, so I'm gonna be making two recipes here today. The first one, they're both really tasty, but they're gonna be like slightly different calories and almost like different focuses. The first one is going to be, I don't even know what I call this. It's vanilla pistachio. A lot of times you're gonna use, and I would encourage you to use like Fairlife higher protein milk as the base. This one is going to have some pistachio jello, instant jello mix. It's instant pudding mix. I'll show you that in a second as well. And some protein powder. So it's gonna be like a little more, like that's it, everything that's in it. A little more calorie conscious and higher protein. Whereas the other one is going to be chocolate s'mores and gonna be like a little bit more decadent. But let's start with the pistachio one. Okay, so for the first recipe here, we're gonna have skim Fairlife. We're gonna do about 300 mils of that. We're going to use 2 scoops of vanilla whey. It's kind of like an economical blend from Believe Supplements. And we're also going to use this pistachio flavored, zero sugar, zero fat pudding mix that's gonna go in there as well. I found this works really, really well. I also have almond extract that tastes quite a bit like pistachio too. Sometimes I add a few drops of that in. That could be just a substitute if you can't find this, because this is it's not very common to find. I gotta get it on Amazon, but I like it that it makes a green color, which makes it feel pretty authentic. So that's what we're gonna put in here. And I'll show you the exact amounts and macros of this in a second. Okay, so I'm gonna mix this up here. I like using the food scale. It just makes everything so much more accurate and dialed in. I've tried it a bunch of different ways in terms of using a magic bullet and also a food processor. I do find that the magic bullet is probably the best. The only unfortunate thing is this is gonna make a single pint. And if you buy multiple of the actual fill containers, these are the ones that you're gonna freeze, and they go in the actual creamy, and I'll show you that in a second too. You can make multiple batches, which is nice because you don't have to constantly be doing this process. But here's 300 mils, cool. And then I'm gonna do 2 scoops of protein. You'll find that like the protein powder is gonna give it most of the a lot of these recipes gonna give it most of the taste. So like if you're thinking about, hey, I really would like the taste of something else that's flavored a little bit differently, you could do that as well. I'm not showing you this today, but I have a mint chocolate chip recipe. You could just use chocolate protein powder and add mint extract as well. But I have the CBUM and raw version protein of mint chocolate that's super, super good. You could do, I do that as well, and it's quite good, but the protein powder makes quite a bit of flavor. I'm gonna put in around half of this box, which is around 14 grams of this stuff. Pretty green. I also might have a little bit of pistachio in it as well. But there's my 14 grams. And that's literally everything that goes in the actual ice cream base. Let's blend this up. Okay, I got it in the magic bullet, ready to rock. So there's a bunch of different settings on the actual Ninja here, but you're gonna be making ice cream, so it's considered a scoopable. So the fill line's right here. So using about this much liquid usually gets you pretty close to that. Let's pour this bad boy in. See, it looks like I could get away with actually putting in quite a bit more, but I do find once I actually blend this up, and I'm gonna let this drip out as I talk a little bit here. As I blend this up, it almost makes an entire full pint's worth of ice cream. There's some fluffiness, that type of thing. But I could also actually put in probably a bit more liquid and make it go further if you're curious about the actual like consuming more volume. But this would be a good opportunity for me to put the actual macros up on the screen as well. So if you're to eat this entire pint of ice cream as it is right now with no other mix-ins, we call them the magic mixies. We'll talk about that in a second. But as is, it'd be around 400 calories, 71 grams of protein, 21 grams of carbs, and around 2 grams of fat. Typically, Amy and I split that right down the middle. So it's about half of that. And honestly, that would be a good serving of ice cream. So about half of that, but that's the macros for this entire recipe for right now. All right, so we're gonna put one of the lids on this bad boy here. I have 2 different kinds of containers, and honestly, the lids are a little bit, I think they're different lids, so a little bit suspect, so I gotta be careful. But this is gonna go right in the freezer. I'm gonna freeze it for at least, it says instruction-wise, at least 12 hours, but I usually give it a full 24 hours. All right, so I was going to do the second recipe right away, but I also wanna show you how this thing works. So I don't wanna leave you hanging, and I have one with the pistachio flavor already frozen. Let's mix this bad boy up right away and eat it. All right, so here's what you're gonna do. This lid from the freezer is gonna come off. You wanna make sure that when you freeze everything too, everything's upright and completely even, because the blade is gonna hit it that way. This thing is gonna fit into these grooves here and sit in like that. That's the first step to put this bad boy in. I had to watch some videos, so I'm hoping to understand how to use this. So I'm hoping you're finding this useful. And then the top lid goes on here, kind of sits in there. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. I can do it, guys. Like that, sits into the grooves, and this guy's gonna fit over just like that. Now this is locked and in here. Now for your actual machine. All right, and then for the actual machine, let's boot this power on. You're gonna take this, the actual container, and put it straight in like this. And then to actually put it in, which is going to be this install button, you're going to turn it over like this, all the way over until it clicks. And then we are pretty much locked and loaded. You're gonna do this full here, which is gonna mean the blade is gonna go all the way down. And there's a bunch of different scoopable settings here. You got ice cream, light ice cream, sorbet, gelato. Usually for like these, I don't know, dairy-based ones, I'm either gonna go ice cream or gelato. I tend to go to gelato because I have Italian cousins and it just makes me feel one with them. So I'm gonna do that. It's gonna be 2 minutes for this spin. I'm gonna hit this button. And it's going, it's starting. Okay, so if you take it out and it looks like this, have no fear. At the beginning, this is almost kind of like a Dippin' Dots texture yet. When it's like that, all you have to do is add more liquid and respin, which typically tells me that maybe I use a little bit less protein powder or more liquid to begin with. And since we had room to add more liquid in, I might have to optimize my recipe a little more. If you're a Ninja Creami expert and you're watching this, feel free to fill me in on what I should do to slightly optimize this, but I feel like I'm doing pretty good. We add a little bit more liquid in and we're just going to respin it. All right, now for this one, instead of going to, we'll go back to gelato here, but instead of hitting the button again, we'll just respin. So I'm gonna do this one. Another 2 minutes and we'll be ready to go, or we'll be adding in mix-ins.
Few inches later.
There we have it, folks. This is it after the respin, and you'll find that, like, in terms of hardness, ice cream texture, it's perfect. The next recipe isn't going to be, I'm gonna serve this out and dish it up and do a taste test in a second, but the next recipe isn't gonna have the pudding or jello mix. And I do find that like it's a bit more like fudgical versus like creamy ice cream texture, but this is looking good. Let's dish it up. Okay, so the one thing I failed to mention here is if you wanted to add in any mix-ins, we call them magical mixies around here, you can. Sometimes with the pistachio, we're just gonna add in some milk chocolate chips. Essentially what you do is like add a little crevice in here. I'm dropping chocolate chips but essentially just add them in. I'm gonna double this up and go for around 15 grams. And then I'm gonna use the mix-in feature, and then it's gonna mix them all in evenly. You can do other stuff like The next recipe is gonna have some graham cracker, that kind of stuff to really get it evenly dispersed all the way through. It's gonna add a few more calories, but make it super tasty. So that's another thing that you can do. So there we have just about even servings here. And the taste test is, I mean, I've tried this before, obviously, but really good consistency. Taste is great. It tastes like pistachio gelato, a little bit of vanilla flavor and stuff. You could add in more toppings and stuff, but this individual serving here, so half of the recipe, it's like 35 grams of protein, 15 grams of carbs, 1 gram of fat for stuff that tastes like actual ice cream. And this isn't like, I mean, I haven't fed it to any normies yet, so I'm not entirely sure about what they feel like as a taste. Sometimes they're kind of like, you really like that? It's good. It tastes like ice cream. Let's move on to the next recipe. Okay, so next up we're doing a s'mores flavored high protein ice cream. This one's gonna be super simple for the base. We're gonna add in some marshmallow fluff and some graham crackers after, but for the base it's super simple. It's just going to be chocolate milk flavored Fairlife. We're gonna do 1.5 cups of that, as well as a scoop and a half of chocolate protein powder. I'm gonna be using Select Protein from PE Science. This is the frosted chocolate cupcake flavor. Let's mix that up. I missed the video of me putting it together, but we got 350 mils of the Fairlife chocolate milk, and we got 1.5 scoops of this protein powder here. Let's blend this up, and I'm gonna freeze it for 12 hours at least overnight. We'll be back tomorrow to taste test it. All right, so I got the s'mores based here, all blended up, ready to go. I'm gonna freeze it overnight, and we're gonna be back to taste test it tomorrow. Again, at least 12 hours, typically 24 hours though, works the best. One of the other cool things about all this stuff is that it's all dishwasher, like all the plastic inserts and the actual containers, all dishwasher safe. So you can just toss it in the dishwasher after, as well as like the blade that comes apart. Really, really easy and convenient. I've been loving this machine. Complete game changer.
Day 2.
Okay, I got the chocolate s'mores ice cream frozen pint here ready to go. Let's mix this bad boy up. Okay, so we got our s'mores base here ready to go. We are gonna add in the rest of the ingredients here, which is gonna be 2 tablespoons of marshmallow fluff. We also got, it'll be 4 squares of this graham cracker, and then a serving of chocolate chips here to make it very s'moresy. Let's do that. We're gonna do the mix-in feature here. Call them the magical mixies. Okay, I got it all broken up in here, and we are going to do that mix-in feature. Alrighty, so I'm eating it here. If you were to eat the entire pint of this s'mores high protein ice cream, it'd be around 550 calories, 47 grams of protein, 55 grams of carbs, and I think around 17 grams of fat. But I got half the serving, so it's nearly half of that. Taste-wise here, it's really good. The like higher sugar chocolate milk does make quite a big difference. I feel like it's a little bit more liquidy because I don't have any of the instant like pudding mix in it. Which I do like. I like the texture of it. It kind of like hardens it up a little bit more as well, but the taste is fantastic. I wouldn't be eating this one every single night, I don't think. Like it's a little too sweet for me, like the pistachio one for like a more regular one, but it is quite good. With that being said, in this unit here, this bad boy, the Ninja itself, I've used it like almost every single night since we've purchased it. Probably for like a month, I've maybe missed like 3-5 nights out of like, just didn't have ice cream made or was like literally away. It's gotten so much use. So if you're thinking about like cost wise, I know the Canadian price on it right now, there's like a Canadian version and a US version, but even still the Canadian price, if you're just realizing the first time I'm Canadian, surprise. I think it's around like 287 Canadian, which would probably be like 220 American dollars. For the fact that most I'm getting, the use I'm getting out of it, it is completely worth it. I think if that price was like triple or something, I would definitely like probably like reconsider, give it a bit more thought. Is it worth it? But at that price point, given the fact like it's making like every single one of my nighttime snacks, is fantastic. Gonna eat the rest of this ice cream here. And that's it, folks. That's my Ninja Creami review with 2 high protein ice cream recipes. Honestly, the kitchen tool has been a complete game changer for me. It's completely different than the rest of like the gadgets, and even blending up different protein recipes like ice cream recipes or cold recipes. This makes a completely different product. I can't believe you can diet while eating it. I remember when I first started this stuff, like that wasn't the case. We were like, you know, gagging down disgusting protein-based things. It's all changed. Dieting has never been easier for some of these tools. And I'm super grateful to have one. I waited way too long to get one. If you're on the fence, I would encourage you to get one because there's nothing else out there like that. Now, if you are a Creami expert and you have a recipe you think I should try, please drop it in the comments below. I would love nothing more than everyone to have a bunch of recipes that they come back to and check out, and I will personally try them. I'll do a review of them as well, so fill me in on what I need to be creating. That would be the biggest thing. Now, as great as all these tips are, if you're really serious about starting a nutrition coaching business, the next thing I'm gonna have you do is check out this video I've linked up right here. Today we did a Ninja Creami review, but I've also reviewed other informational products as well as supplements, that type of stuff. Let me show you the day that I did a full day of eating using Coach Greg Doucette's Anabolic Cookbook. You can see my full review of that right here. So check it out now, and I'll see you in the next video.